Hello, we are bringing you yet another installment of our Across the Miles with people who've gone on from great things to great things. And Paul, we're talking to Paul Loesel today. He's in New York State, and he was a graduate of Frankenmuth High School and really did a lot of work with their popular Venner group, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. However, for the last 18 years, people, 18 years from the beginning of Wicked, he has been a keyboardist and pianist with that particular musical. You have any ideas how many shows you've done?
Well, I think in the 18 years, we were bordering on 6,000 performances in total, and I probably played at least 5,000 of them.
Do you ever get tired of it?
No, I wouldn't say tired. There's definitely, I think with anyone in any job, you have better days than others. You have
right,
more awake days, more interesting days, whatever you want to say. But I don't get tired of it. I love the aspect of live music, despite the fact that I'm playing the same notes that I've played 18 years ago. It's still live music.
Yep. It's pretty obvious what that job entails, but is there any beyond that we should know what a pianist keyboardist does? Because your kind of piano is a main instrument.
Yes. Well, my duties at the show go beyond playing the show every night. My keyboard part, we have 3 keyboards in the orchestra of 24. And my book, as you call it, has a lot of the sparkly magical sounds. So
okay.
A lot of times when there's a spell happening between, either from Elphaba or Glinda, it comes from my keyboard. A lot of sparkly magic and piano sounds, harpsichord, organ. So I'm just part of the orchestra giving those sounds to the score. Other than that, my duties are a large part of my job is to teach the vocals to incoming cast members and reviewing those vocals a week later or 2 weeks later after they've had some staging rehearsals, keeping it fresh for them and correcting them. And I love that part of the job because it's a new energy. It's a new cast member. Many times they're making their Broadway debut and they're young, fresh out of school. It's very exciting.
Oh, yeah. So how much turnover is there? Quite a bit.
Yeah. With a cast of pushing 40, there's always something going on, whether someone's contract is up or they leave to go to another show. Or many times they go out on injury leave. So we bring in a replacement for a while. There's always some sort of rehearsal going on. And beyond a new cast member, once a week we run through the show for the understudies who are in the ensemble, who cover the lead roles. We run through their show with them on stage and usually with just a piano. And a lot of times I'm playing that rehearssul.
Okay. Have you had any kind of wild minutes that would be funny? Like somebody fell off the stage into the pit or whatever?
Well, I don't know if you had actually heard that story, but that is true. We
did.
No.
I was kidding.
Yeah. Luckily, this was in probably year 2-ish, right after Idina Menzel left the show as the original Elphaba. Shoshana Bean was her replacement. And in the show, if anyone remembers it who has seen it, Elphaba makes her grand entrance upstage. And as the music plays, she runs down to the front center lip of the stage and looks around the school in wonderment. And because the show opens with a lot of fog, dry ice, sometimes depending on the climate of the theater, there's a little moisture on some of the floor.
Oh no!
Some of the metal bits, and she comes running down stage. She slips and fell into the pit right above my head. But luckily, at that time, the crew had installed a netting above my head because in the first year and a half, I was getting a lot of props dropped on my head. And because we have a raised stage, so things
Yeah,
are off on
yeah.
simple things like, Glinda's tube of lipstick or a hat or that. But they thought, okay, we should put something up. Well, I'm glad they did, because she fell right into that net above my head, and it saved both of us from some pretty major injury.
Oh boy, I was just kidding when I asked that. Okay.
But luckily, we didn't stop the show. She just climbed up back on stage and continued the show.
I remember when I was cabaret, and I can't think of the actress, was in Detroit, and she came out and slipped and just plop, got up like nothing had happened.
Yeah.
So now I noticed when you sent me a list, you also list doing Broadway shows, Mamma Mia, Cabaret, JC Superstar, Ragtime. How did you fit those in, or were those before Wicked?
Those were before Wicked.
Okay.
So, yeah, Wicked being my full-time job now,
yeah,
called having a chair in the orchestra. Before that, I was a substitute player in these various shows. So I would bounce around between shows playing the keyboard part when that keyboardist was conducting the show or out on vacation or sick. So now I have my own set of substitutes who play for me. But that's how I was able to bounce around between shows.
How you did all those. Boy, those are impressive shows. The Lion King. Yeah.
Yeah.
Now some people may not know is, fine, you're in a musical, but you're also a very active composer with Scott Perkle, who's the lyricist. And your songs have been performed in Carnegie Hall, Kennedy Center, Lincoln Center. Still composing?
Yeah, a little bit. Scott and I wrote for 20 some years and wrote 2.5 musicals and dozens of cabaret songs that are now being performed all over. And we're very proud of all that work. But right before the pandemic, we kind of parted ways, not in any bad way. We literally, our lives changed. And after our last musical, LMNOP, had some regional productions, he got a different job in kind of a completely different business, but also he was able to write and act. So that's a whole nother story. And I was a little burnt out after working on LMNOP for 10 years. So we've taken a break, but we have promised each other when we are inspired again, we are going to continue writing.
So how many productions of those two shows? Let's see, it was called The Extraordinary Ordinary, and then LMN. How many places did those eventually get performed? I know one place was University of Michigan.
Yes. So our first musical, Extraordinary Ordinary, was performed in New York City off Broadway. And then it was actually in Kalamazoo, Michigan at the Farmers Alley Theater.
Okay.
So it played, another one, the Philly Fringe Festival before that.
Okay.
So that was a couple productions. And then LMNOP played in New York for a workshop, and then Goodspeed Musicals in Connecticut, Tuts Theater Under the Stars in Houston, Louisiana State University, and the University of Michigan. In fact, University of Michigan was our first production of it.
Are you still trying to get those performed, or is that somebody else's job now? Or
well, it's kind of somebody else's job in that LMNOP has been picked up by Samuel French Concord to be licensed. So it is available for amateur and professional productions. We are hoping that someday somebody will look at it and listen to it and say, hey, this sounds interesting, and produce it.
Yep. Which of the two is your favorite?
LMNOP.
Yeah. And how many years did you say you worked on it? 10 years, did you say?
10 years. Yeah.
Oh, my God. Now, when you say worked on it, doing what?
Really from pen to paper, first notes written to the last production in Houston.
Okay. So do you keep refining it type of thing? Okay.
Absolutely, because the productions at Goodspeed and Houston, well, actually all of them were all kind of developmental production. Okay. We had a producer attached who eventually wanted to bring it back to New York in some way. That partnership has ended, but every step of the way we were there, present in rehearsals. And is out of town tryout kind of thing, rewriting.
Yeah. So was a lot of that occurring when you were in Wicked and you had to fit it in, or?
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Luckily, the team at Wicked was very respectful of my writing career also, and they would let me go 6 to 8 weeks on a leave of absence to
Okay.
develop the show. Yeah.
Because like you said, you had backups for that show.
Yes.
So, yep. Okay. So what part did Venner play in all this?
Well, Venner and Keith Spaulding, what part did it play? I mean, he really instilled in me the love of musical theater.
Yeah, he was crazy about it, wasn't he?
I mean,
yeah.
I've met so many people in the business, of course, who are passionate about musical theater, but Keith Spaulding definitely was. My parents, my mother had a few cast albums, and we would listen to My Fair Lady, Oklahoma, some of the good old standards, growing up. So I appreciated it, but it wasn't until Venner when I realized the full breadth and depth of musical theater, how many musicals there were out there, and the complete variety of expression from comedy to drama there was.
Yeah.
And Keith, instilled in all of us in Venner the love of music in general, but musical theater. I mean, he just lived and breathed it. And
when you mention the depth, Wicked is just an incredible show, isn't it? I mean, it's funny, it's serious, it's everything. So I guess, yep. So where do you think you want to go from now on? And you're going to stick with Wicked once Broadway gets up and running.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So
yeah, I love the show so much. And obviously, just on the work side of things, it's great to have a long running show, a steady job, knock on wood. But we'll get back to work in a few months, and I'm very, very excited to do that.
What's the legs going to be on Wicked? I mean, 18 years is a long time. Is it still running strong?
Yeah, well, it was interesting, before we had to shut down because of the pandemic. It was running strong, healthy, and it'll be interesting to see how quickly and how many people come back to see the theater, but all signs look great. We were notified that within the first hour that sales went back on for Broadway, for Wicked particularly, the first couple shows sold out instantly.
Oh, good. And when do you go back? September?
I will go back into rehearsals the end of August. We have 3 weeks of rehearsals, and then we will reopen on September 14th.
Okay. So I understand you're going to play something for us today, right?
Yeah, sure. Going back to LMNOP, my musical. Let me bring up the music here on my iPad. The story, it's based on a novel by Mark Dunn called LMNOP, and the novel is Ella Minnow P, as in a girl's name.
Right.
We ended up changing the title to LMNOP, as in the alphabet, because it's very alphabet driven. The short story of it, it's a fable about a community who loves the alphabet, and they have a statue in the town of the man who created the pangram, the shortest pangram. The quick brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. And the letters of this pangram are in tiles around the statue, and they fall because the glue is old. But there's a group of people in town who think it's word from the creator, who is long past, that we should not use those letters anymore. So at first it's fun. The first letter that falls is Z. And they think it's fun. They're like, oh, let's just get rid of Z. And, you can't say or use the letter anymore in speaking or writing. So let's have a party to celebrate goodbye to Z. So this is early on in the show, after the first letter has fallen. The song is indeed called Goodbye to Z. And I'm going to play you just, the first chorus and verse of it. And this is all the townsfolk just having a party, saying goodbye. Goodbye to Z, adios, farewell. In just 3 hours, we totally expel this funny little letter. No more C. No more sizzle or sneeze or fizzle or freeze. It's fairly well to twizzle and trees. No more gazing at the zebras in the zoo. It's the end of frozen pizza too. Instead of a zeppelin, we'll now see a blimp float freely up in the skies. We won't muzzle our poodles, eat schnitzel with noodles, and it's now a crime to harmonize. Goodbye to Z, adios, farewell. In just 2 hours with relish we repel this funny little letter. No more Z.
Oh, that's a good one. That's a good one. How many songs on the show?
Oh, about 22, I think.
Yeah, I thought you had a lot of them. So anything else you kind of want to add? Oh, I was going to mention too that on your bio you said you were the recipient of a 2010 Theater Hall of Fame Burton Lane Award. What's that a little bit about?
So Burton Lane's wife set up, well, there already was a Burton Lane Foundation. And through the Musical Theater Hall of Fame, she wanted to award an up-and-coming writer every year.
Oh,
With a small financial award and recognition for, you know, just someone new on the scene. And I applied that year and was chosen. And I was able to go to her apartment and meet her and have afternoon coffee and tea with her. And it was a wonderful experience.
wonderful. So anything else you want to add that I've missed?
I think that's about it.
Okay, well, thank you for your time and good luck going back to Broadway and
Thank you so much.
Playing for the
having me.
19th year.
Yeah, thank you so much. And everybody coming
Okay.
to Wicked. Come and support live theater.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, thank you.